Hello everybody and welcome back to the British Pokemon League show. It has been a long time coming. We are here for the Season 7 regular season finale. It feels like so long ago that we had Season 6 Grand Finals, but here we are at the end of yet another season. We've got a lot to get through during this show, so I won't spend too much time withering on. But as you'll know, obviously during this season we are playing in the Regulation D format. There's a few select bands in there, of course. We've not got the full amount of Pokemon that we should have, but the Hisuian Mons are in. Most of the Regulation D Mons are in, and of course all the Paradox Pokemon are in this format, just to catch you up to speed with where we're at in terms of what Mons are available. Let's take a quick look at the league table going into this final week of games, and oh boy, we are hitting the spiciest end to a season that we have possibly ever had. In all 7 seasons of the British Pokemon League, there's still 3 teams that could win the regular season title. There is 5 teams out of 6 that could make those final 2 spots for playoffs. Everyone from Georgia Grand Bulldogs to Nordic Natu is safe and through to playoffs, but Kyogre, Canucks, Bulu Boys, Inglorious Surface, Deimos Deoxys and Shadow Kings could all still make playoffs. LA Noons are out of the playoff race, but everyone else still in with a shout. And of course, and this wasn't rigged, this wasn't scripted. You know, when we do the schedule for the league, it is always done right at the start of the season. There's no planning in place. There's literally just a random button on the Google Doc. And week 11, our final week, puts Shadow Kings against Deimos Deoxys, so 10th versus 11th. Kyogre Canucks versus Inglorious Service, 7th versus 9th. And Bulu Boys versus LA Lanoons, 8th versus 12th. It could not have possibly picked out a spicy end of the season. Then, of course, we've got the matches at the top end of the table. Again, none of this scripted. Chill and Chespins versus Mighty Macros. So both could, obviously, whoever wins that could potentially be in with a shout of winning the title. Nordic Natu versus Miami Heat. Miami Heat out of the running for winning the regular season title. Of course, one of Chill and Chespins and the Mighty Macros will win the title. But we'll probably feel they can definitely upset the apple cart there and cause some issues. And then the final game from the top half, bit of a nothing game, is Politoed Belladrummers versus Georgia Grand Bulldogs. I will say now, there won't be any footage of that game. We'll say straight away now, Georgia Grand Bulldogs did take that one 2-0 for their final week game. Both, of course, in playoffs. Politoed Belladrummers will be trying to go that one better than last season after finishing up second. Georgia Grand Bulldogs promoted last season from the British Pokemon League Championship Division. First time Vasking are in playoffs in the Premier Division, so massive congrats to Esquire and his Georgia Grand Bulldogs. We will very much looking forward to see what they can do in their first playoffs. We will be, of course, doing the draw for the playoffs, Season 7 playoffs, at the end of this show, but we've still got a lot to get through. Unfortunately, before we go on to the final few matches, LA Lanoons did not show for their match against the Bulu Boys, so this does have a little bit of an effect on proceedings. However, there is still playoff positions to be determined, and still some big results could come our way yet. So we're going to get right into our opening match of this finale show. Is Shadow Kings versus Deimos Deoxys. Dogsy and the Shadow Kings, bit of a rough start to the season. Went 0-6, was 0-5 during the first half, lost their first game in the second half of the season, but Dogsy able to make some pretty inspired trades at the halfway point, most notably picking up that Regidrago, which at the minute, I mean, it's not running completely rampant in Regulation D, but it is there and thereabouts with that Choice Scarf Dragon Energy Dragon Maw set. Oh, well, not Choice Scarf yeah, Choice Scarf Dragon Maw set. Really putting in the business, of course. There's always a threat of terror here, and I would think, you know, that Dragapult on Deimos Deoxys' side is always going to be going for that fairy terror type. You know, there's no real need for it to terror into anything else. You know, normal terror is, I suppose, an option. But you know, outside of, you know, Hawlucha there, there's nothing really. Hawlucha Tyranitar, there's nothing really there that's going to threaten it otherwise. So normal terror is pretty safe, but fairy terror, definitely the safest option on the Deoxys side. You know, it threatens that Tyranitar, threatens Hawlucha, threatens that Regidrago, stops the Regidrago from going for that Dragon Energy attack as well. And you know, no real steel type threat on that Shadow King's side to speak of. Of course, Deoxys also with that great Tusk as well could definitely put a huge threat in on that Tyranitar. Is not going to enjoy facing off against, you know, your Indeedee and whatnot, but does threaten a lot on Dogsy's side, that is for sure. But Dogsy's really making good use of that Tyranitar and the Lycanroc. Lycanroc, of course, getting that Sandrush ability, gets the doubles to its speed under the Sand Stream that Tyranitar will set up for it. We've also got potential for that Choice Scarf Eruption on Typhlosion. You know, that's a set that we've seen run in the league before quite a few times. On Latvia and the Miami Heat ran that set quite a few times. So something that Lum will definitely be having to consider. But Lum has pretty much always went along that old faithful Fletchinder. You know, considering Cecitia tends to come to more or less every game. You know, you get that Gale Wings, Tailwind set up. The speed control is very important. Not so much probably against Dogsy's team here. You know, I think overall Lum's team is that little bit faster, but you know, all the same, it's useful to have on there, especially when you've got a Lycanroc that could, you know, go nyawn after the sand goes up. Tinkaton obviously got that fake out pressure there as well. Mold Breaker, the ability on it, you know, can be very useful against, you know, the likes of your Fergaraf and Serena. Both of them stopping priority attacks will not stop Tinkaton's fake out. There's no Fergaraf or Serena on that Shadow King side, but you know, always worth noting. And you know, Tinkaton with that Fairy Steel Terra type, Fairy Steel typing, you know, really lowering its weaknesses there as well. So I would think Dogsy's going to be looking to go for you know, Clear Amulet on something, you know, just on the potential threat of that Tauros Aqua coming along. You know, potential for an Intimidate could really sort of put it down on proceedings when you've got that T-Tar, Lycanroc, or Lucha, all the big heavy physical attackers. But yeah, definitely some interesting choices on both sides. But as with always, it's always really how you're going to play the match. You know, with all the will in the world, you can be set up right, but you don't know what your opponent's going to terror until they do, and it's always going to depend on how you play. But very much a lot on the line. Both of these players playing for that chance of plus, but also playing to avoid that automatic relegation spot. The loser of this game will drop into that second auto relegation spot and be auto relegated down to Championship Division. So let's get right into this then. It is Deimos Deoxys versus Shadow Kings. Will apologise, the scoreboard is the wrong way around. Shadow Kings are here on the left, Deimos Deoxys are here on the right. So Dogsy leading out with that Indeedee female, and Regidrago is going to get that Psychic Terrain set up. Dragapult out with the Fletchinder. Dragapult goes for that Fairy Terra type, then Fake Out goes into Fletchinder, cost Fletchinder the Flying type, so is going to get affected by the Fake Out. Dragon Energy comes out, that Fairy Terra is going to stop that damage coming off. Fletchinder is going to go down, no Tailwind coming off, but Terra Blast is going to get the revenge kill on Regidrago, and down goes a massive damage dealer for Shadow Kings. In comes that Tinkaton, and out comes Holucha, which is going to activate Psychic Seed and activate that Unburden ability as well to make it that, give that double speed. Steel Terra comes out from that Holucha. Fake Out not going to work then because of that Terra. Rockside comes out hoping for the flinch there, I would think. Terra Blast going to come out, but Steel is going to resist that Fairy Terra Blast now. Psychic not going to do a whole lot of damage to that Tinkaton, of course, is resisting the Psychic type. Dragapult now coming out with the Protect. Follow Me comes the way from Indeedee. And Encore from the Holucha. That's a great bit of tech there on the Holucha. So Tinkaton now stuck into that Fake Out. You would think I was going to say, I think Lum's going to switch that as in comes the Garganacle. Dragapult still out Encore into the Dragapult as well. It is now stuck into Protect. Great bit of tech play there from Dogsy, really stalling out his opponent. Psychic going to do a decent chunk of damage to Dragapult, but no sniffs yet. Protect comes out from the Dragapult again. Close combat into the Garganacle only does half damage. That Garganacle super tanky. Psychic just about not enough to take it out, and there is a Salt Cue. Of course, the Holucha is now going to resist it, but it is going to take that residual Salt Cue damage, and the Psychic Terrain now does end. Holucha switches out, in comes that Ditto to copy the Garganacle as well. Tinkaton going to switch back in for that Dragapult, knowing it's Encored. Psychic comes out, down goes Lumaris' Garganacle. So Dogsy with the 3-2 lead in this one. Great start here from Dogsy after losing that Regidrago early doors. Holucha switched out for the Indeedee, trying to get that terrain back up. Protect comes out from the Dragapult, and there is the Gigaton Hammer from the Tinkaton. Oh, Ditto just about hanging on to deal life there, but that's really going to put a stick in the mud there. Indeed, he comes out for that Garganacle. That Ditto copy Terra Blast can do half damage. Indeed, close combat not going to quite do enough to Tinkaton. It is very, very bulky as Tinkaton's going to eat that Cirrus Berry to get some help out. But the player rough misses on the Hawlucha. That could be huge then as Terra Blast going to come out. Even though it resists, Hawlucha going to go down thanks to that defense drop from the close combat. Gigaton Hammer is going to get rid of the Indeed. He was just going to leave it all up to Ditto now, which is going to copy. Hear me now? Cool. Alright, we're back, I think. It says that I have the sound now. Alright. Dapples is going to get rid of that Uxie, and there's his Salt Cure onto Lycanroc. It is going to be doing that residual damage. Don't worry, that's not damage from the Sandstream. That is the the Salt Cure damage. Indeed, female now going to come out in place that Lycanroc. Going to get that terrain set up, then stop the fake out coming from the Tinkaton, but goes straight for the Gigaton Hammer. Indeed, he does manage to eat that up. Air power not going to quite do enough. Tinkaton it is going to eat that Cirrus Berry to get a good chunk of his HP back. There's the body press as well. Indeed, you're taking out 3% of the Sand now, going to take it out. And Lum evening things up at 3-3. Out comes the Lycanroc again. Then has it got enough damage in to take it out? Tinkaton going for the protect. Blocks that drill run from the Lycanroc and the air power from the Garganac as well. You have to wonder, maybe it was a double up into the Garganac at the right play there. Lycanroc going to take that Salt Cure damage again. I'm going to be taking that residual down to 10% HP now. Special attacking T-Tar I think just isn't quite doing enough damage. There's a drill run into Dragapult. Dragapult comfortably tanks that. There's another air power into the Garganacle, but still not quite enough to take that. And there's the recover. It just recovers all of that damage back. Dragapult taking a bit of damage from the Sandstorm, but Lycanroc down to the Salt Cure. And it is 3v2. Ditto now going to copy that. Dragapult is forced into it. It's the final one. Ditto going to act faster thanks to its Quick Claw, but what's it going to go with? It's a protect. It was going fast anyway. The one time you don't want Quick Claw to activate is on a protect. But there's the body press into T-Tar. Oh, T-Tar's weakness policy is activated. Just about hangs on through that. Quick Claw activating again on the Ditto Ghost. That Fairy Terra type. Terra Blast. Oh, not going to quite do enough to Garganac. It's just too defensively bulky. Gigaton Hammer is going to get rid of that T-Tar. And now it is all up to Ditto. Dogsy's playoff. And League hopes resting on his favourite mon. That Ditto tech comes out from the Tinkaton. Garganacle then able to get off an attack. You would think a Salt Cure, there is a Salt Cure coming out. He's going to hit that residual damage. He can't switch it out now, so eventually that Ditto is going to slowly have his health with his Quick Claw activating again. Tinkaton going to resist that Fairy Terra Blast. Gigaton Hammer going to do the damage, and there it is. Lumaris then takes out Dogsy and Shadow Kings 2-0. Dogsy then is relegated from the British Pokemon League Premier Division after only just being promoted last season. Big commiserations to Dogsy and Shadow Kings. I really thought he was going to bring that back at the end of the season there, but just not quite enough in the tank. Lum then lives to fight another day, but on to our second game of the evening then. It is Inglorious Surfers taking on the Kyogre Canucks. And it's a bit of a battle of the genies here. We've got the Thundurus Incarnate, Landorus Incarnate, and Enamorus Incarnate all on the field in this one. Surprisingly enough, Aaron has not sort of used the Enamorus Thundurus duo a whole lot this season that we've seen a bit in competitive play. You've got the Eerie Impulse Prankster on that Thundurus Incarnate. Can activate that Contrary on the Enamorus. Instead of dropping a special attack, it boosts it by the +2 and then let Enamorus do its own thing. And Enamorus is so fast as well. If you've got that speed control, Enamorus is really going to put the damage in. But Aaron is really sort of heavily shouldered on the Hail duo of Snova, Glaceon, and then we've seen him sort of setting up the rain for Dreadnought a few times as well, which has also benefited your Bronzong, Serena. Also activates the Swift Swim on that Quillfish Siri as well with that Dark Poison Terra type. giving it just the one weakness. But yeah, we've not sort of, Thunderous has definitely been something coming regularly for Aaron, but has brought a few unusual builds during the season, and it just hasn't quite worked for him. But has definitely been on one of these final few weeks. Got the win over Dogsy in the first game of the second half of the season, which gave him that first win of the season as well. Got the win over Esquire last week as well. I'm trying to think of who else he beat as well. I just need to take a quick look at the fixture list to find out who else he beat as well on the way here, because there was another win and I now can't remember off the top of my head where we are. Oh no, it was Dogsy, yeah. LA Lanoons. I knew it was another team down the bottom, I just could not remember for the life of me what the other team was. Yeah, so beat Lanoons last week, beat Esquire the week before, beat Dogsy in week 6, and finds himself on the cusp of making it in. Rylect also with a sort of uncharacteristically bad start, was 0-4 going into week 5, but got the 2-0 win over Dogsy. Dogsy, poor lad, really was cannon fodder at the start of the season. Got that opening win, then got an absolutely huge win over, I believe, Jenin and Nordic Nati, of course, fighting for that regular season title, and then got the win over who else am I looking at? Oh, over Haysodge as well. The week previous to that, so beat 2 big heavy hitters in the league. And since then, it's sort of the form in those 2 weeks has kind of dropped off a bit for Rylect. So, both players sort of differing form. Both players not making the best start of the season, but both players still in with a chance of making playoffs. For both players, it would be their first time ever of not making playoffs. And was Aaron Inglorious Service, a double-time champion of the British Pokemon League, so it would be huge to see him drop out of that playoff contention, but has definitely made a good fight of it the second half of the season. I would definitely think that Thunderous has got to be coming with a Quillfish, Dreadnought support. I think Glaceon as well also really heavily pressures the likes of the Landorus, the Chestnut, potentially, depending on its terror as well, you could see it threaten the likes of the Volcarona, but Dreadnought really sort of puts that pressure on Volcarona. Volcarona's really going to have to make sure it gets the speed control or gets those sleep powders off and try and slow Aaron down a little bit. Of course, needs to watch out where the likes of Persian is concerned, and Pikachu with the fake out. In case Serena is lurking around in the back, you don't want to waste time with that Queenly Majesty. Aaron is very good at making those predictions and bringing in that Serena at the opportune moment. Not really seeing a whole lot out of Moltres Galar, to be honest. You could argue that it's strong here. It's good against Goldengo, Chestnut, Volcarona again, but I don't think Aaron's really put a sort of trust in it as he used to. It's not the same Pokemon it was during Sword and Shield when Dynamax was a thing, so I can sort of very much understand that. But Rylect has definitely made very good use of that Landorus Incarnate and his Volcarona as well, and Overquill's really put in the work during the season. Persian Lola, always a huge threat, always going to see Fake Out, Icy Wind, Snarl, Foul Play sets with Assault Vest on Persian Lola. It's just with the Fair Cut ability as well, it just bulks those hits and it can really just really pressure your opponent. You're going to drop speeds with Icy Wind, drop special attack with Snarl. Foul Play, if anything on the other side's heavy in the physical attacking range, it's going to do big damage. I remember playing him early in the season and Cleaver being taken down to something like 15% damage from a Foul Play from this thing. So it is a heavy hitter Aaron is going to have to watch out for, especially if he's buffing anything up, the likes of the Dreadnought, the Enamorous, things like that. Got to be careful of. But yeah, anyway guys, that's enough rambling for me. Let's get right into this one. Kyogre Mechanics versus the Inglorious Surfers. Winner goes into playoffs, loser straight into those relegation playoffs. So Rylec's going to lead that Pikachu and the Landorus Incarnate. Aaron with the Thunderous and the Dreadnought then. Thunderous and Dreadnought. Dreadnought going for that Ghost Terror. Fake Out goes into Thunderous. So Aaron trying to read that Fake Out. Eerie Impulse comes out, but it's going to Lightning Rod's going to eat that thing up, and see what Aaron was going for there, but not into Lightning Rod. Air Power would have taken Dreadnought out had it not Ghost Terrored, but does just over half. Going to go for that Shell Smash now on the White Herb. Going to return those negative drops back to normal. Protect comes out from that Landorus Incarnate, and there is the Rain Dance to give Dreadnought that extra speed boost. Not that it needed it. Rockside though going to miss the Landorus, going to miss the Pikachu. Sorry, Landorus Protect through that. Nuzzle going to get the Paralyze on the Dreadnought, so it is going to halve its speed, but that thing is still going to be going so fast. Protect now coming out from the Pikachu, and there's a scary face, but it's the clear Amulet on the Landorus. It's not going to get the stat drop, but Waterfall still going to go fast, and it is going to Oko that Landorus Incarnate. Down it goes, and Pikachu loses its Genie partner. No longer Genie Bottle. In comes Volcarona. Then I would think that thing's going to Terra. It does Terra into that Terra Grass. I was about to say, typically Terra Water, Terra Grass. Rockside going to take the Pikachu down to its Sash and do a big chunk of damage to Volcarona. Volt Tackle not going to quite do enough to Thunderous, and that recoil is going to take it out. Sludge Bomb. Oh, Volcarona just about hangs on. Agua Berry, sorry. Going to regain some of that health. The flinch though from the Rock Slide. Going to stop Volcarona from getting any hits off this time, as in comes Galdangai, mate, on his little surfboard there. Little cheese string man. Protect comes out from the Volcarona. There's a Stomping Tantrum into the Goldengo. Goldengo does somehow manage to tank that. Sludge Bomb going to get blocked by that Protect. And Goldengo comes out with the Make It Rain. It is going to get rid of that Dreadnought, but Thunderous does hang on. And it is now 3-2. Aaron still though with the advantage in this one. Out comes the Quillfish Sue, which is also going to get that Swift Swim boost. Rage Powder comes out from the Volcarona. There is the Crunch. Volcarona going to just about hang on. Again, this Volcarona just living everything. But Sludge Bomb though is going to take it out, which means Goldengo on half health with everything to do, but goes for the nasty plot then. And well, it's in a bit of a spot now. Thunderous can just set that Rain Dance back up. Quillfish going to go fast. There's the Crunch. Down goes the Goldengo, and Aaron takes the lead in this one, 1-0. As off into a game 2 we go then. Rylak then with it all to do going into this next game. This time leads off with the Jigglypuff and the Goldengo then, so really switching this up. Aaron going with the Dreadnought and the Thunderous lead again. Sees as a safe lead, doesn't need to switch it. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Goldengo comes out with the Protect. There's the Rain Dance, sets up the rain for the Dreadnought. Dreadnought going to go for that Shell Smash again. Whitehead going to return those negative stats down to normal. And Jigglypuff though comes out with the Encore. That Dreadnought now stuck into Shell Smash, and of course each Shell Smash is now going to drop its defense and special defense. No Whitehead to save it. Rylak is going to need to take care of it before it sets up too much time. That's a critical hit on Jigglypuff, and it still didn't go down from that Sludge Bomb. Goldengo then free to set up that nasty plot. Encore now comes out from into the Thunderous as well, so Thunderous stuck in that Sludge Bomb means it can't hit that Goldengo. Landorus now comes out in place. The Jigglypuff Shell Smash comes out again from that Dreadnought. Sludge Bomb going to be resisted by that Landorus Incarnate, and Goldengo now just free to go for a Make It Rain. That is going to Oko the Dreadnought. Does a big chunk of damage to the Thunderous as well. Going to drop the Goldengo's special attack just ever so slightly, but still going to be doing some big hits into our inside, so needs to take care of it. Out comes the Quillfish Hisui. Going to make use of that Rain, and Serena comes out the other way as well in place of the Thunderous. Goldengo going for that Water Terror, which is very brave with Serena on the field. Landorus going to protect and block that Waterfall, then at least prevents any it going down or any potential flinch. Shadow Ball going to do half damage to that Serena, and out comes the Jigglypuff again, hoping to maybe take a hit for that Landorus. It does. Jigglypuff though does go down, so it does trade that one away. Shadow Ball not going to quite take out the Serena, and out comes the Power Whip, and that is going to Oko the Goldengo in one hit. Man, it's a wonder the Power Whip can actually hit. If anyone's been watching the Pittsburgh Regionals, you'll have seen James Beck missing 4 out of 5 Power Whips. Landorus and Pikachu, Rylak Saviors, they're the only ones who can keep his TBPL Season 7 playoffs alive. Serena going to go down to that Sludge Bomb. It is now a 2v2. Nuzzle going to come out into that Thunderous, but it must be clear Ambulance says no. Paralyze comes out. Quillfish now with the auto goes to the Water Terror. Thunderous going to presumably go for that Rain Dance. Protect comes out from the Landorus. There is the Rain Dance to get it speed up. Waterfall comes out in the Pikachu. It is going to get the Sash activated, so Pikachu hangs on but goes for the Nuzzle. Oh, I thought maybe a Volt Tackle would have come out there, would have got rid of the Quillfish, but is at least going to potentially get a Para and drop speed. Waterfall, they're going to take out the Landorus. No Para there. Pikachu, the last one alive. Volt Tackle going to take it out, but in turn going to take itself out, and there it is. Aaron T. Marshall and his Glorious Airpers through to playoffs. Rylak and his Kyogre Canucks out of the playoffs running and into the relegation playoffs then. Big commiserations to Rylak. I know he's really tried it at the end there to make it work, but just not quite being able to see it over the line. Aaron just with too much in the tank at the end, making great use of the Quillfish Hisui and the Dreadnought. Then we've not seen him run that Shell Smash set all season, but Aaron saved that in the tank for when it mattered. And yeah, he's really pulled it out of the bag there, and Aaron going to make it into playoffs then. So on to our next game then. Would have been Bulu versus Lanoons, but as I mentioned earlier, not going to be the case. Now our next game then is going to decide potentially this regular season title. Then Jenny and Anonatu, if they're able to win, no matter what happens in Sick versus Haysodge's game, then she will be champion, although does need to win 2-0, 2-1, and then she needs to hope that Sick is not going to 2-1 or lose to the sorry, knocked my microphone out there again, guys. Apologies for that. But yeah, Jenny, she was unavailable first week, so it took a first week loss with the sub. But since then has been on an absolute tear, as we mentioned earlier. Did lose out to Rylect, and I believe lost to Sick as well. I could be wrong there. I'm just trying to look through. Canucks. I want to say it was Sick as well that also got the win over her. There was definitely another loss in there somewhere. But yeah, it's been on a right tear. Iron Hands off Wem have just been an absolute duo for her. Really, really put in the work. And Slowbro Galar as well, getting that trick room up and with that quick draw has been huge. Off Wem gets that shed tail off. Is able to get Pokemon behind substitute and really do big damage. And she's really made good use of the Terras as well. Terra on the off Wem a few times has really, saved her skin. Roaring Moon not quite cut the biscuit, in my opinion, for that Northern United team. Again, I think it looks reasonably good into Latvian's team here, with that dark dragon typing. It is 4 times weak to Fairy, but really strong against, those fire moves. Is really good into Brute Bonnet. Really good, dark moves are going to be really good into the likes of Typhlosion, Hisui. But yeah, I mean, when I've seen it during the season, I don't feel like it's done enough for Jenna's team. But there's always been your Iron Hands, your Rotom Wash, Orthworm, Slowbro Galar, Cinderace that have been sort of able to pick up the slack, and Amoonguss again has also been very huge for this Northern Natu side as well. But Latvian has a very, very Latvian team. Has got Typhlosion back, and of course is the Hisui variant. This thing still gets Eruption, but of course no more Flash Fire. Gets Frisk and Blaze this time round. So no Flash Fire for it to make use of, but still hits hard all the same. Of course has that Ghost typing now, which means you can't just willy-nilly fake it out. Has also got another Hisui mon in the rounds with Samurai Hisui, of course. That Ceaseless Edge move does set up the spikes, which always gives you that little bit of advantage, even though it's typically a singles thing, spikes. It works in doubles in VGC as well, getting that residual damage when things switch in, especially, these high quality players, able to make those reads, able to make those switch-ins. If you can put something out there that's going to cause damage when there's a lot of switches going up, you can really cause a lot of problems. But, has got that trick room mode with Torkoal, with Clodsire, with Brute Bonnet, to make use of. But it's also got the fast mode as well, Noivern with Tailwind, and then you said you've got the likes of Typhlosion, you've got Grimmsnarl for the screens, Magneton as well, really strong special attack, as we mentioned, Samurai Hisui as well. We've not seen Lat use that Colossal yet, so this could be the game maybe where Colossal comes out to play. But I know Lat, he'll be keeping his cards close to his chest where that thing is concerned. But Trick Room, I think, doesn't really benefit Lat here for the most part. I think if anything, Jenny is going to be trying to set up that Trick Room, knowing how often that Noivern is going to come out to play and set up Tailwind. Jenny is going to try and sort of counteract that, and has got some pretty strong Trick Room ones in there. Iron Hands especially with that. It's always going to be running that Assault Vest, but typically she has something running Earthquake, so the Earth Eater on the off one can make use of it, and always Citrus Berry on the off one as well, so it can just keep healing up when it needs to. But let's get into this one then. Nordic Natu versus Miami Heat. Let's go right into this game. Latvian then on the left hand side, Jenny, and Nordic Natu on the right hand side, Cinderace and the Roaring Moon going to kick off things with Jenny, and it is Grimmsnarl, and it's going to be Noivern there for Latvian and his Miami Heat. Safety goggles frisked on that Roaring Moons. The Iron Hand's going to switch back in. Fake out goes into the Iron Hands, of course, is switched in, so not going to make too much odds. Tailwind comes out from that Neuven, and there is the Flare Blitz from the Cinderace. Going to do a big amount of damage to Grimmsnarl, but Grimmsnarl does manage to tank it. Neuven going to take that fake out from the Iron Hands, and an Air Slash, of course, is Covert Cloak on the Neuven. Cinderace not going to go down with, but Spirit Break going to do a big amount of damage to the Iron Hands as well. Takes them both down to yellow, but out comes the Court Change on the Cinderace. Huge piece of tech there from Jenny. Going to switch that Tailwind around. Flare Blitz going to take out the Grimmsnarl. Cinderace going to take a little bit of recall damage from that one. Now then they're going to set the Tailwind up again. Great reads there from Latvian, and Volt Switch is going to allow the Iron Hands to safely switch out, and in comes the Roaring Moon once again. And now out comes the Luxray, so it finds out it's Clear Amulet on the Cinderace, which found that in the first 10, but does drop the attack on the Roaring Moon. Roaring Moon going to go for that Fire, Terror and Protect comes out from the Cinderace. Air Slash going for that flinch then on the Roaring Moon. Throat Chop not going to quite hit hard enough into Neuven. Maybe trying to scout out in case Latvian was going to go for that Boom Burst on the Neuven. It is sort of very common set on the Neuven out because it Sucker Punch from the Cinderace, but not going to bite for it. A Taunt then from the Neuven, stopping that Roaring Moon potentially going Tailwind. Volt Switch is going to allow Luxray to switch out. Cinderace goes down, and out comes Typhlosion. Hisui is going to again find those safety goggles. Throat Chop again into Neuven, so no Tailwind out from the side of Jenny, and in comes this Amoonguss, and Amoonguss will not enjoy seeing a Typhlosion and Neuven facing off against it. Air Slash again doing a decent chunk to Roaring Moon, again going with that flinch. Out comes the Eruption, Protect going to stop it, but the Roaring Moon just to say hanging on thanks to that Fire Terror. Out comes a Throat Chop, is going to do half damage to that Typhlosion. I don't think a Choice Scarf on the Typhlosion, it goes for the Grass Terror. Tailwind now out from the Neuven again, just sticking around, and there is the Heat Wave. Moongus going to tank it, down goes the Roaring Moon. It is 3v2. Spore going to get blocked from that Grass Terror, so great read there from Latvian to block the Spore there, and out comes Iron Hands. I'm going to give that fake out pressure, gets the fake out on Typhlosion, knowing they can't go for the Neuven, but Air Slash going to take out the Amoonguss, so Iron Hands with it all to do in this one. Air Slash not going to quite do enough to the Iron Hands, but the Shadow Ball from the Typhlosion Hisui does, and Latvian going to take the lead in this one. And Jenny's regular season title hopes slipping away as we speak. Into game 2 we go, and Jenny going for a more Trick Room sort of lead. Has got the Iron Hands with that fake out pressure, and Slowbro Galar of course can go for that Trick Room. Grimmsnarl and Neuven out they come, finds the leftovers on Slowbro, finds the Assault Vest of course on the Iron Hands. Quick Draw comes out from the Slowbro. The fake out going to stop the Iron Hands doing what it wants to do, but what is the Slowbro going to do? Goes for the Ice Beam, and that is going to OHKO the Neuven. Down goes Lat's Tailwind Setter, and Lat already down to 1-1. Typhlosion Hisui now comes out, gets the Frisk again, not that it needed to do it again. Roaring Moon coming out, knowing that safety goggles. Water Terror comes out from that Iron Hands, could see that Eruption was coming. Both the Roaring Moon and Iron Hands going to resist that Eruption, and Crunch going to be resisted by that Roaring Moon as well, but going to still do decent damage. Wild Charge, God, that does so much damage. It hits so hard from that Iron Hands, and Luxray going to switch out and going to get that Intim and attack drop on the Iron Hands and Roaring Moon. Roaring Moon going for that Protect. Grimmsnarl going to go for the Reflect, so attack drop and Reflect up. This Iron Hands not going to be doing much. It's going to go for the Volt Switch, get that tiny little bit of damage and allow it to switch out. Reset its attack drop as well, as in comes that Off-Worm. We've seen how strong this thing can be, and Iron Hands going to switch back in. Luxray switching out again. It's just a big game of switches. In comes the Typhlosion Hisui, then is going to find the Citrus Berry on the Off-Worm. Shed Tail then comes out from the Off-Worm, going to drop his HP, but Citrus Berry going to bring that HP back, and it's going to allow Roaring Moon to sit comfortably behind that substitute. Then out comes the Spirit Break into hands, going to do a decent chunk and drop its special attack as well. Not as much as it would have done of course, not terrible. Out comes the Luxray to get that attack drop on the hands, but the substitute going to save it from said attack drop. Grimmsnarl going for that Ghost Terror, makes a great read. Could see that fake out coming in. Latvian gets the Terror read. Throat Chop not going to quite do very much to Luxray. The Spirit Break is going to fade that substitute, then Latvian just slowly chipping away at Jenny's Pokemon here. Volt Switch going to get a super effective damage onto hands, going to allow the Luxray to switch out, as in comes the Typhlosion Hisui again. And there is the Spirit Break of Roaring Moon, going to get Protect and keep itself alive just from that Volt Switch. Out it goes again. Iron Hands playing a bit of a hokey pokey here, in out, shake it all about. Off-Worm going to switch in for it. Out comes Luxray, get that attack drop again. This pure Roaring Moon just keeps getting its attack dropped. Goes to the Earthquake, so it's going to get Off-Worm that HP back and does that super effective damage to Luxray. Shed Tail comes out again, so it's going to allow someone to go behind the substitute off when they're really dropping its HP there. Spirit Break going to get rid of that Roaring Moon. What has Luxray got in its tank? This next turn, Offwell now switching back in. Goes for the crunch on the off one. The off one just about hangs on, but does get that defense drop. Stomping Tantrum, no, it's just not got enough attack in it to take it out. Luxray and Crunch going to get rid of Offworm, and it is all of a sudden Latvian's turn this around. But Slowbro is going to get that calm mind up. And how important could that be behind the substitute? Iron Hands goes that fake out into Luxray then. Brimsnarl, what is it got in its tank? Goes that Spirit Break. That's going to get rid of Iron Hands, so it's all up to Slowbro. Galar is going to go for a Shell Side Arm. That's going to get rid of Luxray. It's a 1v2 that is behind the substitute with that calm mind up, so it gives us a reasonable chance. Out comes that Typhlosion Hisuian once again. Shadow Ball going to come out as super damage. That's going to drop the substitute. Grimstar going to go for the crunch, and it gets the critical hit, and there it is. Lat taking the 2-0 win, moving himself to 8-3. Jenny's regular season title hopes ended as quickly as they came, and that opens the door wide open now for either Sick or Haysodge to take that regular season title in that next game. So again, big congratulations to Lat and Jenny for both making playoffs. Unfortunate both of them could be in that regular season title fight sort of together, but you know, Lat will take a lot of pride from that victory going into playoffs, and you know, Jenny shouldn't feel too downhearted going to playoffs herself. You know, didn't go to plan playoffs last time for her, but has been so solid this season. I think she's going to be able to make a good go of it. But on to our final game of the show then. The regular season title decider is the last season's champions, Chillin' Chespins, against the Premier Division new boys, Haysodge and his Mighty Macros, one of two teams from the promoted from the championship to make playoffs thus far. You know, Haysodge has just been absolutely wrecking house that Gudra Hisuian. You know, it seems like people always bring something to you know, counteract it, and he's still able to position it so well and able to get off what he needs to and get it sort of get its shelter move off and just really put in the work with it. You know, Gastrodon as well has been such a strong trick room mon for him. You know, Slowking gets the trick room up, goes for that chilly reception. Gastrodon goes for the Ice Terror. Slowking comes back in, goes for the Surf, activates Storm Drain. Gastrodon hits a Blizzard, and then the rest is history. So definitely something Sick is going to have to be watching out for. Surf's going to do damage, but then Blizzard's also going to do damage as well to a good chunk of his team. But Sick has definitely put together a strong lineup as always. You know, Tornadus has been a fabulous support mon for him this season, and then just the sort of trio of Heatron, Basculegion, and Baxcala have just been formidable. You know, this Baxcalibur sets up Dragon Dance or a Terrors, and it's just able to sort of wreck house with its high attack stat. Heatran, you know, it's typically always going to go for that Grass Terror or some Terror that, you know, defensive Terror that stops it from being just absolutely yeeted by a fighting or a water move. But, you know, he's been able to use it to such good effect, especially, you know, it gets that substitute set up and it just becomes even harder to take it out. And it hits so hard with those flash cannons and heat waves. You know, you've really got to try hard to sort of put a stopper to it. And then, you know, Basque Legion then either comes in at the end, sweeps with last respect, or gets that water terror set up, and with that adaptability ability, you know, on top of water terror type, you know, you're talking a crazy amount of stab type bonus and wave crash. You know, I think earlier in the season there was a grass terror water type Tauros. Basque Legion had the attack drop and still awkward this water terror Tauros and water type Tauros with grass terror with wave crash. It is absolutely mental. Yeah, you can't really say much more on that as well. And then you've also had Decidueye Hisuian really putting in good work as well. You know, Leaf Blade has also got that. I can't remember the name of its move off the top of my head, but I think always critical hits, I believe. It's a fighting type move. It has a chance to flinch. I could be getting that wrong. But, you know, has really made good use of that. The sort of baby mons really haven't sort of come out much. Has definitely brought Venonat a few times and made very good use of Rage Powder. You know, especially next to the likes of the Heatran, things like that, or Baxcalibur get substitute set up, you know, just enable them to live that bit longer and just get set up and just start wrecking house. So Haysodge, I think, should be looking to try and bring some sort of taunt to come along, and definitely needs that speed control. You know, knowing Tornadus is likely to sort of look at going for Tailwind, might go down the Trick Room route, but that sort of tends to be where Such goes with that. And it's also got a pretty strong mix attacker in Iron Valiant as well. You know, it didn't really bring it too many times right after trades, but then the sort of latter half of this second half of the season, it has really been putting in the work for Such and his Mighty Macros. So definitely one to watch out for Sick. You know, it doesn't want that Baxcalibur to get sort of caught out of position, because it is not going to enjoy taking either a Spirit Break or a Moonblast from this Iron Valiant. Similarly, Crocodile down, this is why Hisui not going to enjoy taking those moves. But I'm going to stop my rambling. Let's get right in this one then. Chilling Chespins versus Mighty Macros to decide our regular season champion for Season 7. Into the match we go. And Sick is on the left, Hersoj and Mighty Macros on the right. Hersoj with the Slow King and Iron Valiant lead then, as we've seen quite a lot recently. Tornadus and the Basket Legion for the lead then for 6. Are we going to see some Rain Dance shenanigans here? Slow King goes to that Fairy Terror type. Nasty Plot comes out from the Tornadus. That's not something we've really seen before. Basket Legion goes to that Phantom Force, of course. Protect is going to block. Is not going to be able to block that Phantom Force. Trick Room comes out for the Slow King. The Valiant's knockoff then obviously going to miss. Psyshock not going to quite do enough to Tornado. So there's the Bleakwind Storm. Is going to bring the Valiant down to Sash. Does a really big chunk down to Slow King as well. Knockoff, the Trick Room's kind of ham there really. Is the Phantom Force is going to get rid of the Slow King. That Basket Legion is absolutely nuts. And already Hersoj on the back foot. Gastrodon comes out, so Basket Legion going to switch out very, very comfortably. So the Blizzard going to miss Sidgewai though, going to get rid of the Tornadoes. But yeah, Basket Legion wasn't able to do much while Gastrodon on the field. Iron Valiant going to go for that knockoff. Sidgewai, of course, is going to resist that, but does reveal the Assault Vest on that Sidgewai Hisuian. Out comes the Heat Run then. Not what you want under Trick Room, as out comes Avalug, and of course Gastrodon going to stay in. Heat Run goes for that Grass Terror type. Is Hedgehog going to read it? The Muddy Water going to goes out hoping for those accuracy drops. They're not going to come, but it does at least hit both. Leaf Blade though going to get rid of that Gastrodon. No way Gastrodon is living that. And really now you're down to one. The Heat Wave is going to miss the Avalug, but that Iron Valiant is so low on HP that Sick has a huge advantage here. Protect going to come out from the Iron Valiant. Ice Spinner is going to get rid of the Decidueye though. One turn of Trick Room left to go, and it is 2v2. Heat Wave. Oh, Avalug just about hangs on through that, but Trick Room is now up, and it's Basket Legion Heat Run versus a very low HP Avalug and a very low HP Iron Valiant. Lashbreck's going to get rid of the Valiant. Could have went for Aquajet into either of those as well. All up to Avalug then. Heat Wave though going to do the job, and advantage to Sick and his Chespins in the title fighters. Into the second game we go. Baxcalibur and Tornades on the lead. Slow King and the Venomoth lead for Hersoj. Sleep Powder going to come out into that Baxcalibur, so no safety goes. Out comes the Bleakwind Storm. Venomoth going to just about hang on for that. Out comes the Trick Room then, and Rage Powder from the Venomoth Chilly Reception going to switch out the Slow King, and in comes the Gastrodon in its place to make use of that Trick Room. But the Baxcalibur going to go for that Sword Dance. Is always such a big risk. Is Venomoth going to go down that Rage Powder, really not saving it then with that spread move on 10 Tornadoes. Heat Run going to switch it in its places. Out comes the Blizzard. No freezes here. Ice Spinner also not going to do enough. Baxcalibur going to just comfortably tank that, and Icicle Spear going to easily get rid of Gastrodon. And Hersoj really in a bit of a bind here. Sick looking in a very strong position. Out comes the Wide Guard from the Avalug. Psyshock not going to quite do enough to Baxcalibur. Heat Wave going to get blocked by that Wide Guard. Out comes the Glaive Rush. Slow King, no way is it hanging on from an attack like that from Baxcalibur. And that is going to do it then. One Heat Wave is going to cut the mustard for Sick. He is going to take our Season 7 regular season title. Chillin' Chespins, Season 7 regular season champions. There it is confirmed. Big congrats to Sick. And that is a huge advantage going into playoffs then for Sick. You know, that'll have meant a lot to him taking that after he missed out on it last season. Unfortunate for Hersoj, I think just Sick had him on the day. I'm sure Hersoj is going to come out swinging in playoffs. Big congrats to Hersoj all the same as well for making playoffs in his first season of TBPL Premier Division. So let's take a look then at our final league table for the British Pokemon League Season 7. There it is, confirmation. Chillin' Chespins sat atop of the British Pokemon League, closely followed behind by Nordic Natu, Miami Heat and Mighty Macros, all on that 8-3 record. Polytoad Belly Drummers and Georgia Grand Bulldogs on 7-4 and 6-5. Said they're comfortably in playoffs. But joining them in playoffs will be the Buddha Boys and Inglorious Surfers. Deimos Deoxys just missing out in the end then. Going to be in the relegation playoffs, joined by Kyoga Canucks, and unfortunately for Shadow Kings and the LA Lanoons, they're going to be auto-relegated back down to Championship Division for Season 8. Really hard lines from for both players. I think Kinky's just not been able to get it going this season. And Dogsy, as much as there was a big second half season comeback, it was just too little, too late. But we have got 2 orders of business to get through before we finish the show. The first and most important one, of course, is going to be drawing our Season 7 playoffs then. We've got our standard random result website up and ready. Always trust this website. We shouldn't waste any time. Let's get around with it. Let's draw our playoffs then. There you have it then, our round 1 matches for Season 7 playoffs. Inglorious Surfers taking on Chillin' Chespins. Georgia Grand Bulldogs taking on Polytoad Belly Drummers. Miami Heat versus Bulu Boys. And Nordic Natu versus Mighty Macros then. So some huge ties for us to see in Season 7 playoffs. Sick going to start that title defence against Aaron Inglorious Service, who made it through just at the last breath. I know. There's still a chance for us to play in finals. Don't worry. I believe. Sorry, I'm just trying to get the graphic up and ready. Give me just a second, guys. Give me just a second. Oops. Just a second, almost there. Okay. Just so I can show it to you officially. There you go then, there you have it. Our Season 7 playoff bracket. Chillin' Chespins versus Inglorious Service, Georgia Grand Bulldogs versus Polytoad Belly Drummers, Bulu Boys versus Miami Heat, and Mighty Macros versus Nordic Natu. We will, of course, have our playoff special show. It will only be grand finals, of course, this time, like last season. We will have our playoff show in a couple of weeks' time. We have to give people a couple of weeks to play through playoffs, first and foremost. But that is definitely something to look forward to. And we'll see who's going to take the Season 7 crown then. One final bit of business to get through before we end the show. And it is a bit of an unfortunate one to an extent. But I just want to announce, in case you haven't seen on our social medias, that next season will be the final season of the British Pokemon League. It will potentially continue after that, but it will be the final season that I will be running the league. I will still be playing the league should it continue, but yeah, it will be the final season. That, of course, will mean a full end to TBPL shows. So not got many of these TBPL shows left to get through, so enjoy them while you can. But yeah, it's been an absolute joy and a pleasure to host the show and to run the league up to now, and I'm very excited for Season 8. It's going to be our craziest format to date by far, so we're going to make it a very special one to end things, and I'm very much looking forward to it and playing it with everyone as well. But that is going to do it from me for this episode of the British Pokemon League show. I have been your host, Matt Starr. Goodbye and good night. Mwah.